What a nightmare it is to look at this picture for too long. It's best to start with a bad joke to lighten a little of the gloomy mood you're about to dive into. The aura of this painting is so bizarre that I don't know where to begin. Everything is so dark and mysterious in this painting. I think I must start with that creature on top of the woman. What the hell is this thing? Why is it sitting on top of the woman like that? And the woman herself, is she asleep, fainted, or I don't know, I don't want to think the worst. Wow, and what is that thing coming out of the darkness back there? Is it a horse? Is it a bizarre statue of a horse? Or an unknown creature that looks like a horse? It is safe to say that this painting raises many questions in the same proportion that it is shocking. It is even uncomfortable to look at it for a long time, don't you think? As for me, I'm getting all the chills already. Let's start quickly by giving a little historical context. The Swiss-English painter Henry Fuseli was active during the height of the Age of Enlightenment, also known as the Age of Reason. It was during this time that he painted this picture, The Nightmare, more precisely in 1781. But looking at this scene, it is quite clear that he chose to go in a totally different direction when he decided to make this painting. In this striking composition, Fuseli shows dark and irrational elements. You see a dark scene where a woman is lying bathed in white light, her arms, neck, and head hanging off the end of the bed. She doesn't seem to be even aware of her body or her surroundings. Her body is exposed to the night, covered only by a long white nightgown and nothing else. Rather, her body is on top of a couple of sheets and blankets. In the lower left corner is a wooden bedside table with some items on top that must belong to this woman, such as a book, a glass jar, two smaller containers with lids, and part of a mirror. This is probably her bedroom, but this is definitely no ordinary sleeping scene. I mean, what are those two strange figures in the room? One of them, probably the most eye-catching, is this brown, pudgy creature crouching on the woman's chest. The other is this horse emerging from the gloomy background. With its bright eyes and wrinkled nostrils, the figure sitting on the woman's chest appears to be reflecting on something, with one hand supporting one side of its face and the other on one of its legs. This creature is described as an incubus, a type of demon known to lie on top of people during sleep and even have more intimate relations with sleeping women. Looking from the latter perspective, the painting is suggestive but not explicit, leaving open the possibility that the woman is just dreaming. The second figure is the horse, peeking his neck and head through one of the curtains, bottom left. The horse is looking in the direction of the incubus, an indication that they are companions. He doesn't look like a normal animal, but like another demonic creature, which you can tell by his completely bleached eyes and pointed ears, just like his companion's ears. At the top of the horse's head, the curly strands of its mane stand upright as if they were fiery silver flames. You cannot see the rest of the animal's body. It is interesting to note that according to John Knowles, Fuseli's friend and biographer, the horse was not present in the original painting, having been added to the painting later. Although you are led to interpret the title of the painting as a night horse, the word nightmare does not refer to the bizarre animal in the background. Rather, the word mare here is like the obsolete folkloric Germanic definition of an evil spirit that tortures humans while they sleep. According to Samuel Johnson's A Dictionary of the English Language, a mara is a spirit in pagan mythology that tormented and suffocated sleeping people. Thus, some people understand Fuseli's painting as a demonstration of the physical experience of feeling pressure on the chest during sleep and sleeping paralyzed. What do you think? Does this conclusion make sense? Well, let's take a closer look. The drama and uncertainty of this scene is accentuated through composition and the use of chiaroscuro, a technique where there is a strategic juxtaposition of contrasting light and shadows. Here, Fuseli uses chiaroscuro to show the futility of light in trying to explain the darkness of the unconscious. In this painting, Fuseli depicts a darkened interior scene, with many areas in black dominating most of it, and also denoting the night, creating an eerie mood. Most of the objects and surroundings are in darker tones and warmer, earthy colors, such as shades of red, shades of brown, and soft yellows in the bedding. The main light source in the nightmare comes from the right side. It is a soft light, and possibly its source is a lit candle that you can't see. The light illuminates a part of the incubus, which creates a fearful and sinister shadow on the curtain behind him. The sleeping woman's face, exposed neck, and upper torso are also illuminated by this same light, which further enhances her vulnerability. It is thus possible to notice that the woman's skin, her nightgown, and the sheet are the main light tones in the painting, which act as a beacon of light amidst the darkness. In conjunction with the curtains in the background and the shortened stage-like foreground, the light contributes to giving the painting an almost theatrical appearance. It is believed that the position of the red curtain falling from the bed may symbolize a river of blood, just as in a play or an opera, which adds more morbidity to the already dark subject of the painting. At the same time, the curtain also acts as a cutoff from likely distractions in the background, so all you can see is the blackness of the night. There is a strong horizontal linearity in the position of the woman lying in the center of the scene. It is as if she is a bridge between the real world and the dream world. In addition, there is speculation that she separates the painting into two parts, the upper and the lower. Looking at the painting from this split perspective, the upper part of the painting shows a world of nightmares, and the lower part just shows the woman sleeping in an ordinary domestic setting without drama. So, if you focus only on the lower part, you will see only a sleeping woman and nothing else. This changes the whole theme of the painting, doesn't it? When analyzing the perspective and space of the painting, the interior is brought to the foreground without much depth, and the background is almost cut off by the curtains and darkness. These placements bring the foreground into focus. Fuseli outlined the figures, the scenery, and the surrounding objects with clear lines, so that the observer can recognize each of the elements he placed in the painting. This shows the artist's style, influenced, of course, by the academic styles and rules of that time. The scene from The Nightmare seems so unreal that it surely must have been invented by Fuseli, a kind of figment of his imagination. The inspiration for the elements seems to come from literature or art history, as Fuseli used to paint and illustrate scenes from Shakespeare and Milton. His style had a consistent sense of literature, sometimes even scholarly drama, which descended from his classical education. On the other hand, the central theme of The Nightmare clearly does not seem to be at all related to history or fiction of that time, but rather to dreams and the human unconscious. Just as the title suggests, the painting depicts a dream state of someone having a nightmare. The painting The Nightmare was first exhibited at the Royal Academy's annual exhibition in London, the year after its completion in 1782. It shocked and startled visitors and critics who saw it at the exhibition. Unlike the other paintings that succeeded in these exhibitions, the subject of The Nightmare is not moralizing at all. Fortunately, and contrary to what might have been expected for that time, The Nightmare's immoral mix of horror, sexuality, and morbidity gave the painting lasting relevance. Fuseli even later painted at least 3 more variations of it, with the same title and theme. The Nightmare became an icon of Romanticism and a reference image for Gothic horror. The painting has inspired some important artists, such as the poet Erasmus Darwin, the writers Mary Shelley and Edgar Allan Poe, and many others. Fuseli's composition has also been used by caricaturists, who have used political figures such as Napoleon Bonaparte and President George W. Bush in satirical versions of the painting. In The Nightmare, Henry Fuseli portrays a scene that each observer can interpret differently. Whoever looks at the painting is immediately received with the gaze of a figure coming straight out of a nightmare, just as the title already warns. But it is possible to go beyond the concept of the nightmare to find, who knows, a world that Fuseli fills with his own artistic and personal interests. But what about you? What would be your opinion about The Nightmare? Were you more frightened or fascinated by looking at this painting? Will you be able to sleep tonight after looking at it and analyzing it? I think I'll be able to sleep, but will I wake up in the middle of the night and find these 2 guys in my room watching me? Hopefully not. If you want to discover more creepy paintings like this, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for upcoming videos. Time to wake up from this bad sleep. See you next time!